Hey, welcome to the Hired AV podcast. My name is Joe Way, and I am your host. And boy, do we have a good one for you today. I am really excited about this one. Look at this. I'm almost, all right, I almost kind of lied. I was getting into the regular schedule, back into the regular schedule of episode, and then I took 2 weeks off. But you know what? That's okay, because I was in the Maldives and I deserve to not do anything from the Maldives. And also, when you have no internet connection, you can't do anything from the Maldives. So, but we're back this week. I'm really excited because I love people who I get to meet and see get involved online, and we build up our community. So I love it. So to know, with no further ado, Jon, please welcome to the show. Please tell people who you are and what you do.
Well, thank you, Joe. I'm glad to be here. My name is Jon Youse. I work for Ivy Tech Community College in the Fort Wayne, Indiana campus. We are the largest community college in the United States, which is something they always like us to get in out there. But I'm the Director of Educational Technology Support and Operations for our Fort Wayne campus and our Kosciuszko County campus.
All right. So there's two things. I got to get back to two things. One, but let's start with the largest. So what is your enrollment? What makes you the largest? Is it space, size, classes? What does that entail? What's your scope there?
I think we are largest in terms of the number of campuses and sites around our state, as well as our enrollment, which is, I believe, north of 203,000 students. The last they released those numbers. So,
wait, no, 203,000 students.
Now, I'm not responsible for all those. I'm responsible for the ones in the Fort Wayne and Kosciuszko County, Northeast Indiana area. So
I was going to say, I was going to make a little joke and say, are there actually 203,000 people in Fort Wayne?
Yes, actually. Yeah. We're the second biggest town in Indiana.
All right. I love it. All right. Wow, that's great. That is all right. So now, you have one of those that I like to call the all-encompassing work titles. So talk us through what that scope means. And let's say this again: Director of Educational Technology Support and Operations.
That is correct. So we are working out of the Educational Technology Center, which I call ETC, which is just etc. So, we get kind of all of those related things. We help administer our learning management system here at Ivy Tech, which is a Canvas. So we help our students and our faculty utilize Canvas to achieve their educational goals. And that also includes things that work with Canvas, like our publisher courseware and, just being fluent in, Google Workspace and the Office suite, so that we can show our faculty and our students how all of that works together to accomplish learning.
Okay, so you have, and then so you basically have the gamut. So if you have LMSs, and then you have the physical spaces and all of that, and so that doesn't get, so like when I read your title, I thought, okay, just call it other duties as assigned. I loved how you just called it etc. Like it's the same thing, right? I mean, literally, it's the same thing. So so let's kind of go through, and I want to, because again, and I'm saying this selfishly because now I have this all-encompassing, even though my title, Executive Director of Digital Space, is the greatest title ever, tells you nothing about what I do. But like it is one of those, it's an umbrella title, right? Because of all these areas that fall under. So when you have it, and I guess I want to go to, size of team and or teams, and kind of how that gets pulled together. Was there a strategic vision in saying, hey, we need to add another "and" to this title in order to pull this group together? How tight is that group working? Asking multiple point questions, which breaks podcast hosting 101 rules, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, our team size currently is 4, which includes myself. I have 3 educational technologists who are on our team here in Fort Wayne. But as a whole, the college has educational technologists on almost every campus. basically, kind of distributed throughout the state. Since we're a larger campus, we have a slightly larger team. Uh, we help back each other up in that way. But the kind of which is why I got the larger title this last year, is because AV duties were also added on for me here at our campus. At the rest of the campuses around the state, our IT department takes care of that. But locally, they very much didn't want to, and they knew I had AV experience. So then they kept pushing for me to take it.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so you're not under IT, which I think there's a move for AV, well, and a lot of things to be rolled under
Mhm.
IT. So where do you live then, and kind of, and then what was the thought process outside of maybe you're the person who had to do it to move an AV outside?
Yeah, well, we're on the academic affairs team. That's our reporting structure in the university. We do work closely with our friends in IT, uh, obviously, as we've transitioned, kind of taking over our spaces from them. Um, I As far as background experience, I mean, I worked for 15 years at the University of St. Francis, that's also here in Fort Wayne, and
Mm,
I was the AV guy pushing carts who kind of worked up to being in charge of all the campus AV and planning spaces, and then led the help desk in kind of tier one support for our IT department, which
mhm.
AV rolled into IT there. Just here, it's separate, I think, because of the whole learning management system component.
Yeah, yeah, that totally makes sense. I love, and the thing is, I love it. I definitely think that, that kind of academic technology, quote unquote, LMS slash whatever I'll call it, online tools, is like line back, oh, bad word way of saying it, but I'll say it that way. And our physical, because they're so related, especially now, they're
They
so
very
related.
much are. I
Yeah.
mean, convergence has happened. All of
Mhm.
those kind of IT and online and AV things are, work together. And a big part of our job, as educational technologists, is just understanding how everything works together, being able to help our students and faculty understand that, and to, utilize whatever we have in that technology toolbox in order
Mhm.
to, teach and learn. So,
All right. Uh, I'm going to give you the hard one. Then you said we have to understand how everything works together. How does everything work together? What is it you want people to understand?
um, I think of it from that like AV signal flow. That's kind of my background. So I'm trying to figure out how this process works from A to B, so that
Mm-hmm.
if I know it, I can understand how to explain that process, or to maybe improve that process by, you know, making changes. Because we do training as a component of what we do. So we train our users in how to use all of these different technology tools, from our LMS to Microsoft Office. So
I love that. So when you do a training, like when I love the gamut of it because there's usually such a separation, right? Of okay, we're going to teach you how to use Canvas. We're going to teach you how to use blah, blah, blah. And you're click, and then, and then you have a whole other group going, well, now I'm going to teach you how to, log into Zoom in your room or do whatever. You get to think of this as one holistic thing, right? And I think
yes,
that is the biggest difference that I absolutely love that.
yeah, that's totally true. It's everything is working together, and if we can help our users understand how to make that stuff work together, then it's going to make their experience a lot easier as they're trying to achieve their degree and get their educational success.
Oh, I love that. All right. So, now you said you had AV come into you. You said what about a year ago or so?
Hmm.
What is it like when you have a new department? And the good thing is you had that experience. But what is it like when you have a department kind of roll under you? What are those first steps you do and you took in order to integrate them and integrate that team?
Well, it didn't come with any extra people. It just rolled on to the people I already had. So,
Oh boy.
um, some of them had AV experience, and some did not. So there's an element of having to kind of train up on some of those basic like AV troubleshooting and signal flow things you have to do. But also a big part of my learning was just trying to wrap my head around how many spaces we had at the campuses, and to figure out what technology was in those spaces existing that I was now going to have to support.
Hmm. So then, how did you go about taking your team? This is, it wasn't new for you, but if it's new to your team, kind of what specific trainings did you go through? How do you make that learning curve? Because obviously, classes never stop, so it's now to you. You got to support it tomorrow, right?
Right, exactly. So I did some kind of really basic, kind of hands-on training, going into a few rooms, kind of, just explaining to people how everything kind of works together and what we need to look for if we get that trouble call about, checking out a room. And, beyond that, I looked to some resources from like Avixa, you know, that were kind of the free basic courses. Found some stuff online too, and just kind of put together just like a very small kind of list of things so that it would help them understand how to do troubleshooting and signal flow. Because we also are managing AV events for
Oh
our
boy.
campuses, so we're having to set up that equipment in auditoriums and gymnasiums and stuff like that. So it can
So,
be pretty interesting.
so that's quite a portfolio you took on with no additional headcount.
This is
Oh,
true.
oh, you're like, yes, I
Yes,
will, I will
yes, it is.
confirm. Wow. All right, all right. Yeah, I wouldn't be nice about that. But you have a better smile than I have in doing that. But so okay, now hold on. I'm still wrapping. I'm wrapping my head around this now. So you take it over. You've got it. What were there technology changes that you felt needed to be made and done that? Like, because again, often, and I like to say, often departments are given over because someone
Mhm.
doesn't want to support it anymore,
That's
and there
Yep.
might be a reason why. So, what were those challenges and how did you kind of answer that?
One of the big challenges is, budget, which is, everybody's big challenge. But we have a lack of dedicated budget for refreshing or replacing equipment. Basically, from what I've been able to gather from IT and our administration, is if it ain't broke, it's not getting replaced.
Hmm.
So we have VGA cabling everywhere in every room, and we have a bunch of LCD projectors which range from 10 to 15 years old. So it is definitely not great. But what my challenge is trying to chart us a way forward into a more digital frontier, and
Hmm.
what can we do kind of economically and sustainably to bring up this technology to uh, an improved level, and maybe build in some of those budget dollars every year.
Yeah. So, all right. So then, what are the conversations? I'm asking you things because I get asked this all the time, right? So people don't want to listen to me; they want to listen to smart people. So, all right. So, how do you start that conversation with your leadership? Like, you put a plan together, you evaluate, audit. So, what does that take?
Yeah, I did an audit of all the rooms. I know exactly what technology is in them. I know the exact age of the projectors in every room, and uh, a lot of the things that have helped me in this past 5 6 months is that I've had a lot of stuff failing. So I've
Mhm.
been able to add that to my kind of use case, that is like, listen, this stuff is going out. We don't have replacements for it. So you're going to be down educational spaces, and have students and faculty who are not very happy, you know, because we can't, replace and refurbish some of this equipment. Um, I've been going around and talking to deans and department chairs, and they're all on board. They love the idea of getting some improved technology and even some improved teaching tools.
Hmm.
We've got just a few rooms out of that number where we've got like digital whiteboards, some interactive things that they can work on, and we've got certain departments that absolutely love that and want more of it. So I'm trying to I guess build the wave of support, the groundswell from the departments up, and hopefully we can transform that into some budgetary dollars to do this.
I love that approach. I like to say, one of my kind of I don't know, advice for people, and you really did it. I say is build your champions, right? Find the people who, or start a little pilot, right? I'm going to find a
Hmm.
few spaces. I'm going to invest in them. I'm going to show people what the future is. Bring in, a nice advice because like you always say, there's always the early adopters, the people that want the greatest tech, right? Then there's
Hmm.
always, the curmudgeons, right? Well, bring in both. And if you can
Hmm.
win, you're always going to win over the tech, you know, guru, right? They're the ones that will give all the things, but you can find that curmudgeon and go, I'm going to win you. I'm going to show you how you can be more effective, right?
Right.
Whether it be hybrid or whether it be just leveraging 16:9 instead of 4x3 on your, on your power, and then let that work into your LMS and start training them how these things work together. Now you're building your case now to go to your faculty and go, look, or your administration and go, look, I did 6 spaces. I had 20 people that I worked with and worked hypercare with and did a training program with. And now they're telling you, you collect the data, right? And you're hoping it's good
Hmm.
data, that this is where they saw improvement in their ability to be effective in teaching, and the students saw a difference, right? Of course, the students love technology. That's the easy argument to make. Um,
Yes.
right. And now you can go, okay, now I need the big dollars, right?
Right.
And I think that that's kind of the key in taking that step. Um, so I want to ask because when I have community colleges, a lot of times your funding is different. Do you get area funding or special grant? I don't know, tech fees, things like that are supposed to be dedicated to these, or are you a little bit different with that?
Well, part of our secret sauce, I think, is that we get most of our funding from the state, and we are able to utilize that to keep our tuition low for our students, which is really really critical because we're teaching the students who are going to be nurses, med techs. We've got automotive, we've got construction and trades, beyond your kind of traditional arts and sciences. We've got all that kind of stuff too, but our job here at Ivy Tech is to kind of fuel Indiana's workforce. We're trying to get everybody workforce ready where they can go out and be productive uh wage earners in our state.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, funding is it can be tight, and especially in kind of current economic times where we've got some cutbacks,
Yeah.
both from the state and the federal level. um it also makes people who are donors to like our foundation maybe tighten up their purse strings a little bit because they don't have quite as much uh, disposable income to give our way. But yeah, we've got some technology fees on the students, but we again try and keep that low. Uh, because for the last 2 years we've been offering like free textbooks, and we've had some programs that were grant funded in that provided free tuition for high school students if they wanted
Hmm.
to do some of that early college work over the summer. So everything that we do, we try and be very focused on maximum return and impact for our students.
You made me think of something awesome here. So, and again, talking about trades. So, obviously, I'm at an R1, a research university. Research drives everything. So,
Hmm.
majority, even though we have an undergraduate population, of course, research is where our dollars are. And before UCLA and SC, I was at Cal Baptist. Very different tuition run. undergraduate focus, students on campus. Obviously, we have that here, but
Hmm.
research funding is very different. And now you go to you focus on trades and everything, which the traditional kind of 4 years, I guess, don't. So, are you seeing? And especially in, I'll call it this economy, this political situation, this whatever, this thing going around higher ed, are you seeing a change to an investment in trades or a focus, or is it going away from it? What are you seeing that drift? Because there is always a drift. It's just which way is that pendulum swinging? Um,
Right.
and are you seeing, especially in times of, and I'm going to guess, I'm going to say, I'm asking you a question, but I'm going to give you the answer and then you can tell if I'm right or wrong. That in times of uncertainty, you'll see more people enrolling in plumbing programs. You'll see people enrolling more in welding programs and things like that. When there's less uncertainty, you get more toward the humanities. I don't know. I'm just guessing that. And do you see that?
I think that's a pretty fair assessment. I mean, in general, and we can cite historical data on this from, like, the recession from few years back, that we had a big increase in enrollment from people who, maybe they got laid off from their job or this or that, and then they're going back, and learning a trade or trying to get some more schooling, maybe, getting another certificate or something to add to their resume to help, you know, get them that job the next time around. And, you know, I mean, we've seen some increases in enrollment lately. I don't know if we can say yet that it's because of our current economic times, but if things go on, maybe it is. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, and there's always that shift, right? I mean, the one thing I always say is, regardless of kind of what's going on in the world, right? Economics, politics, whatever, whichever way it
mhm,
goes, people always need to be educated. And I know that we say, oh, we're at risk, but you know what? Higher ed is always saying, I've never heard higher ed not say they're at risk, right?
right,
Yet when things are bad, people, like you just said, they need that certificate. If I've got a bachelor's degree, but I'm competing and putting in applications against 100 other people, that one certificate in this one thing might be the difference. That's where places like right. And you see these, and then times where things are going great, you see people go, oh, this is now the time to get my MBA. This is now the time to get my XYZ, right? In order
right,
to push things ahead. So it's like, no, good or bad. It's like alcohol. Good or bad, it's always going to make money, right? Because there's always just the reason for it.
right.
Right. And so I think that's kind of where I think we've fallen. So, but it's the pendulum. Where
Mhm.
does it go? I think is that difference. Now, um, as everyone knows, a little behind the scenes, I don't script anything, but I do stock LinkedIn profiles. And one thing says here, adjunct faculty for communication. I need a backstory on that.
Okay, well, my undergraduate degree is in communication, and while I was working at the University of St. Francis, I mean, you get to know everybody, and I, have a good friend who led the communication department over there, Jane Martin, and she came to me a couple of years back and asked me if I would teach a course on digital tools. I'm like, okay, well, what do you mean by digital tools? And she's like, well, we're trying to prep, students who are in the communication, public relations, some of the graphic arts on just some basics of how to utilize available digital tools to produce flyers, podcasts, videos, websites, things like that. So just like a ground level, yet 1,000-foot view of how to do that. So, I worked on developing that course, and I'm in my third year now of teaching that for St. Francis.
I love, and you also have adjunct faculty down at Ivy Tech too. Are you like, are you? I mean, so you undercover faculty, like how many courses are you teaching?
I'm teaching just the one course, and it's only in the spring at St. Francis, and then it's kind of a I don't know. I do it mostly every semester for Ivy Tech, where I teach a student success course, which kind of along the same lines, we're using that course to teach people how to be better college students and
Mm.
how to do some of those basic, college things.
Okay, top 3 tips to be a better college student. Go.
Time management is always one of the biggest ones.
Mhm.
You definitely need to learn to communicate with your professors, your faculty, because we are there to help you. We're not there to prevent you from getting a degree or to
Mhm.
come down hard on you. We are there to make sure that you achieve your degree and pass on all of the knowledge we can in order for you to do that. Um, and then that was only two. So third thing, um, we talk a lot about self motivation, you know and how
Mhm.
are you as the student going to be able to uh, drive yourself to complete this task, this degree, this certificate, whatever you want, because it's a lot of commitment. A lot of
Mhm.
times we've got working adults or people who have jobs, families, etc., that are trying to do this on nights or weekends or whatever. So it's how do you balance all of those things and manage to stay motivated to get through your experience?
I love that. All right. So then now in your experience in teaching both classes,
Mhm.
and all and being faculty then, it's when you see a student, you can always tell, okay, this person's going to be successful. They get it, especially if you're telling them ways to be successful. You see the people
Mhm.
latch on and don't. What is that one factor you see in a student where you go, they're going to be successful. I'm going to see them 2 years from now getting that, you know, that diploma and moving on.
Usually it's their engagement in the course and in the material. I
Mhm.
mean, people who do the bare minimum, it's like they're just here to skate by. They're not really here invested in themselves, because
Yeah.
that's what a degree is. It's an investment in yourself, because you're investing your time and your money, to try and do something that's going to make your life better or to learn a skill or whatever it is. So if you see people who are really engaged in that way, they're going to make it.
I love that. You're right. And I think that's a life thing, right? I mean, it's also as a
Absolutely.
boss, you go back to being a boss, right? How do I know which are my, rock star employees? They're probably the ones who are engaged, and vice versa. How do I know I might be losing someone when they start to disengage, right? And those are the ones I have to go and focus on. I think
Indeed.
that's good. That's really good. Bonus points there. I like that. All right. So now I had you do a 1, 2, 3 on your on the the first thing, but now digital tools. What are those tools that you think are important for? Or actually, let me rephrase it. What are the future tools? What are the tools right now you're seeing come into the classroom that maybe the average AV person doesn't recognize? We need to be talking to our academic technology group, or maybe is an AV thing we should be putting in. What are those?
Oh man, that's probably the toughest of all. Uh, uh, I don't know, because there's always new stuff, whether it
Mhm.
be like an online tool that does something that's just slightly different, or um, whether it's physical. I mean, most of the time you were dealing more with the online stuff. The questions I get asked the most about are AI tools.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
by both faculty and students, because and I mean that's a big conversation in all of education. It's like,
yeah.
you know how how do we train students to utilize these tools? Don't come at it from that perspective of it being something dangerous or maybe bad, or they're just using it to cheat or whatever. But how do we utilize these things in order to do tasks more efficiently, or maybe make our papers better
Mhm.
as we're writing those?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And my opinion on AI is the fact is we're all using it. We throw in prompts in Chat GPT.
Hmm.
We do all that. And we would be doing our students a disservice if we didn't allow them and teach them and train them and guide them to use it
Hmm.
responsibly, because it's only going to help them out later, right?
Right.
And the fact is, students aren't really using ChatGPT to write papers. They're smart enough to, I mean, I'm sure there is a small percentage, but most of them are smart enough to recognize that ChatGPT is not a great paper writer,
Right.
you know?
Most
Um,
of them. But
yeah,
then
yeah. I
there's
mean,
those one. There's the ones who would always regurgitate whatever they read on the Wikipedia entry about that topic too. So you get a little both.
the great Encyclopedia Britannica of today, Wikipedia. There we go. So, all right. So now, what are the things that, as you're kind of looking forward, what are the things that you now are installing? I kind of talked about what you found, kind of talked about how you're evaluating doing this. Are there particular technologies, directions, and focus that your school is now looking at that you're now going to propose going forward? What are those tech things that are exciting you?
Well, and that's where I'm at some of those crossroads and the tough choices about where to go. It's like, do you go with like an AV over IP solution? Do you just do something that's maybe HD based T in the classroom? That's something. Do I go with a touch panel? Do I go with a button panel? I
Hmm.
mean, I know I want to not have to deal with projector remotes and replacing batteries and having those get lost. But how do I come up with something that's you know that gets the most bang for our buck and provides that best level of technology in the most, I guess, forward thinking and trying to uh, give us a little more longevity down the road. Because if we've been using VGA for 25 or 30 years in some of these rooms, whatever I put in next, I want to be able to be as reliable, in the backbone, infrastructure sense, as well as reliable for the faculty and students who are going to use it.
Hmm.
So I did sell our administration on sending me to InfoComm this year. So
Woohoo!
I'm hoping to,
Woohoo!
maybe I'll find that perfect thing right there that, the the clouds part and the sun shines and the angels sing, and that's going to be it. Uh, I don't know, but that's also what kind of got me involved with HETMA. And I'll give a shout out to my Panasonic rep, Chad Kulaga,
Woo-woo.
who told me about HETMA and said, "Are you a member? Like, what is HETMA?" And that kind of led me down the road into finding out more about that.
See, now I love that, and you led right into my next little thing, because obviously I've seen you being getting involved and wanted to connect with you and kind of hear your story and everything. And so, where have you found that value? What are you looking? I know you just kind of mentioned find that tool, that thing, but how has that community helped you when you go to InfoComm? What do is it solely about the technology or connecting with it with the community? How have you leveraged the community? I'm asking 95 questions. You can pick any one
Mhm.
of them.
Uh, well, so far, what has really helped me is just realizing that I'm not alone. That
Mm,
my struggles are the same as everyone else's.
yep.
Um, and I'd been kind of away from doing AV direct stuff for like 4 years. I'm like, man, the whole world's changed since COVID. It's like
Yeah.
all the AV stuff I did was prior to COVID, and it's like completely different now. Different manufacturers, different systems. So it's been nice to get all of those things that HETMA's been providing, which is like, the webinars. The virtual conference was like the first kind of big thing that I went to. And I mean, that was awesome, you
Yep.
know, getting to hear from people who are out there just like me doing the same thing, uh, giving their opinions on
Yep.
stuff. And then, from that, even in like the chat, talking with some people, it's like, hey, can you share your digital standards with me? It's like, what do you do? And I've had some people share their documentation and what they do. And I know Teddy Murphy, spent like an hour on a Zoom call with me just going over what he does at U Pike. So I mean, it's been nice to make those connections. And I guess looking forward to InfoComm, I'm looking forward to meeting some of those people in person and just being able to talk shop and get some of their ideas and maybe get pointed in some directions that I haven't been looking at so far.
Yep, 100%. I love it. I love that you found that value because I really think that that is the thing. You said it when you like, we all have the same problems. I think the only difference is scale. Like, some
Hmm.
people have bigger, bigger budgets, bigger campuses, but that means you also have bigger problems. And then you have some like that's what goes with it. But we all face the same challenges. We're all trying to navigate what's in front of us, and that's totally nailed it. Nailed it. I love it. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at InfoComm. We're gonna have a good old time.
I think it's gonna be great. I mean, I'm really looking forward to that higher education summit. Honestly, I mean, that's half the reason to go.
Mm,
In my book, seeing
mhm.
all of the gear and stuff, that'll probably be great. But getting to you know interact with some of my peers and learn from them uh, as I'm going on this journey is going to be a huge help for me.
Yep, absolutely. Totally agree. We're gonna have a good old time. All right. Well, now it's time to transition the show to the little rapid round. As a little disclaimer, there is no right or wrong answer unless I have an opinion of my own, in which case there might be a wrong answer. But everybody gets the same first question, and that is this: obviously, colleges are about traditions. So, what
Mhm.
is your favorite college tradition?
Mm. I don't know. I'll just say since we're a vast system and we've got different stuff on different campuses everywhere, probably graduation, because then we get to see all of our hard work as staff and faculty pay off with those students getting their degree and celebrating their successes.
Yep. Great answer. That is one of the top answers that I get, and because I think that is that that commencement is that moment where I help somebody through, even if they never see it, recognize it, whatever. You help make their journey possible. Totally agree with you on that. That's good. All right. Next thing. So Fort Wayne is kind of in the little middle between Columbus, Indiana, Chicago. You're kind of like a dot right there in that
Hmm.
little metroplex. So when I'm coming through and I stop to see you, where are you taking me to eat? What are we having? What are the highlights of this town we're
Well,
going?
I would think that you need to get some Indiana staples like a breaded pork tenderloin and
Breaded pork
some
tenderloin.
sugar cream pie.
Sugar cream. What is sugar cream pie? Like, is it like
It's like a custard type of pie.
okay?
It's basically sugar and cream, and it's in the name.
That's it's like
But
just a custard thrown in a shell and you
yep,
shove it in your mouth.
it is. It's an Indiana staple.
All right, I like it. And then you said like what did you say? Pork?
A breaded pork tenderloin.
Breaded pork tenderloin. All right, it's a lot like
So it's a cut of pork loin, and then they pound it, like thin, bread it. So a good one should be the size of a dinner plate, and
oh,
they put
okay.
it on the little tiny hamburger bun for scale.
Almost like a little. I want to like a schnitzel thingy or
Yeah.
something. I don't know what it is.
Well, we've got a lot of German heritage in Indiana and the Fort Wayne area, so it probably came from that schnitzel tradition.
All right. Oh, that sounds good. All right, I like that. I like that. Okay. Now, next question then. So I kind of hit on the InfoComm thing, but so you will fill in the blank. InfoComm will be a success if dot dot dot.
InfoComm will be a success if I find that magical holy grail AV system that's it's going to work for our college here.
Okay, all right. That's a tall order, but I bet there's plenty of people willing to sell you it. That's for
I'm
sure.
sure I between those and my peers, I hope to be pointed in the right directions.
You mentioned earlier, should you do AVI over IP or should you do HTTP or not? All right. What is the answer? Should you or shouldn't you? Of which?
I'm not sure that I'm educated enough to make that call. I mean, it may come down to just budget
Yeah.
in terms of what we do, because I think I could accomplish HD base T to some extent on a smaller budget, but I kind of see that AV over IP as the more, uh, I guess, is having more longevity long term.
All right. Yep. 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 I think that's right. All right. You also said you have, the academic tools, LMS and stuff over you as well, or under you, I guess. I mean, and you have the AV. So, what is the one thing that AV people should know about the EdTech slash Canvas slash people?
Well, I would say that the mindset is not that far different in terms of people who are troubleshooting problems, maybe, or trying to figure out that workflow in that kind of LMS and digital space. So, those kind of same skills that you would have as an AV tech, certainly translate to this, or even to say a help desk in IT terms. If you can figure out processes and signal flow, then you can help direct people and, you know, give them assistance.
Oh, that's a good answer. See, you're not being very controversial here with me. And
I'm
doesn't
in
even have
Indiana. We don't do controversial. We just do nice.
you just hang out in the yeah, just float on through. All right. I was going to ask the opposite question of what AV people need to know about LMS people, but is it going to be the same answer?
It probably would be.
All right, then I won't ask that one. I mean, actually, I did ask it because you said it probably would be. So there we go. All right. Then see, well, we're searching here. All right, now, okay, I want to go now to your faculty. Give me your favorite as a faculty member, faculty moment. What is your win from a student?
Uh, just when they say thank you, honestly, because a lot of times when you're dealing with people, and all the classes I teach are online. I'm
Hmm.
not in there in the classroom, so all of our interactions are digital. Whether it's me posting announcements, emailing them directly about their work or stuff like this, or posting videos, things of that nature. Getting to hear feedback from the student to say that you know what I did made some sort of impact or made some sort of difference in their experience, is just like the pinnacle, I think, for any faculty member.
I love that. That yeah, that sense, and I'd say that's same for even AV people, right? Just like I always think like the random time you get the email from a faculty member, thank you for your help, or thank you for just I know because we always get contacted when things go wrong. So getting that, right? I mean, be honest.
Well,
I mean, why would people
yeah,
contact us if things go right? They contact us because there's
it's
an issue.
it's the truth, and you want to be able to have an effective solution for them as quickly as possible, because I mean, it's not like, oh, something went wrong the other day and can you help me with it? It's like something is broken now and it needs to be fixed now.
Hmm.
So, getting in there and being able to do it quickly is also, quite rewarding.
Yep. All right. One more here. One more until there's two more. But best piece of professional advice you've ever been given.
Um, well, I guess I'll say, my first boss at the University of St. Francis, the guy who brought me in there, said, your only job is to make me look like a freaking genius for hiring you. So, and he said it in jest, but I took it to heart. So, I tried to always, live up to that expectation in a way,
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean that's certainly what comes to mind at the moment.
I love it. Hey, I'll make your boss look good and you will never go wrong. Absolutely, absolutely agree with that. I love it. I love it. All right. Very last question. This one is you just get a minute here. So this everyone ends with I always end with the same question, but it's not really a question. I'm turning this show over to you for 1 minute. If you had your own podcast and you wanted to do this was your show and you want to talk about anything, it doesn't have to be tech, it doesn't have to be anything, it can be whatever topic, and I've had topics that you would not believe. You can talk about whatever you want for 1 minute. The show is yours starting now. Go.
Well, I'm a pretty huge kind of Disney, Marvel, Star Wars nerd. So if I was going to create any kind of a podcast, it would probably have to do something with Disney, Marvel, or Star Wars.
Okay, then what's the
I could
theme?
talk on those for a long time.
Then pick one theme and go with it. Go controversial.
Controversial? I don't do
Yeah.
controversial. I would say, changes in the Disney theme parks, because whenever they change things, people always get upset. Is it better to continue improving, on all of those rides, experiences, technologies, or should it stay the way it has always been with the things that, people formed those kind of core memories and love of the parks? You can get different answers on that question. I'm always one who sees progress as the best thing, so keep moving forward and make those improvements and make those changes, because it was never meant to be a stagnant place.
Okay, all right. I'm now. I can push back a little bit. All right, because I think you're kind of right, and then I definitely do agree with progress, and I definitely believe in pushing, especially as technologies change. I think we can make the right. But there is something about going. I remember when I was 6 years old here. I'm right down the street from Disneyland. It's 20 minutes away. So there is something about showing up and going. I remember coming here with my parents or blah, blah, blah. Right. And then if it's not there anymore, it kind of sucks. So I think there has to be a mix.
There does. I completely agree with you.
All right. Then we'll take that. All right. Then very, very last question. Can you please tell people how they can get a hold of you and connect with you should they want to do so?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn. I am at Jon Youse. And I think I'm at Jon Youse on most social platforms, although I'm not really very active. I just kind of, stalk other people and, see what they're doing.
Yep. And I will definitely throw your LinkedIn into the notes and of course into the show notes, and of course people can also find you on the HETMA community as well, and
true.
Connect and help build that community there. So Jon, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was just fantastic. I definitely enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you, Joe.
I will tell everybody enjoyed this episode. Out of it. This was just a fun conversation. And of course, you can find me at Josiah Way on all the socials. You can find HiredAV at HiredAV on all the socials, and HETMA at HETMA_org on all of the socials. And of course, like always, none of the opinions expressed here are representative of any of our institutions, anything, any sponsors, anyone who wants to sue us, really. These are not representative if you think so. And of course, we do not like these opinions. There might be better ones next time. We will see you all